Hello, everyone. My name is Alexa Bartol, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys about this incredible organization that I got to work with called Project ROPA. Now, Project ROPA is located, it's a mobile van, and it goes in different areas throughout the Los Angeles area, but I specifically was working at the Blessed Sacrament Church at their mobile van unit on Sunset Boulevard. So Project ROPA means close, and their mission is to restore dignity and respect to the unhoused community by providing clothing and hygiene kits to them. And it's not just about handing out the clothing and hygiene kits, it's about giving them some freedom to choose. So, what they do is they have volunteers like myself who work with each individual, and we get to know them. We get to know their likes, their dislikes. If not only do they need a jacket, but what kind of jacket would they like? Um, what if they need a blanket? Is there a certain color that they'd like? And then we have a whole closet in the back, and we work as sort of their personal stylist. So it's a really beautiful organization that's trying to restore a sense of humanity to these individuals, and I really enjoyed getting to work with them. At Project ROPA, the occupational demands were shaped by both the objects we used as well as the social interactions required. So some of the objects were things like hygiene kits, clothing items, garment racks, the Project ROPA truck itself. And these areas required motor skills, lifting skills, organizational skills of the clothing in the different racks that supported occupational performance in areas of like health management, as well as community mobility. And the social demands, well, they were equally significant. Many of these clients or individuals were experiencing homelessness or transitional housing, so communication definitely required some sensitivity, patience, as well as cultural humility. So the OT core values that were demonstrated here, first and foremost, dignity. Everybody was treated with dignity and respect. The volunteers treated everybody equally. There was no discrimination, which leads me to equality and justice. So everybody had the opportunity to have access to the same clothes and personalized experience. And then altruism, watching some of these volunteers, how compassionately and intimately they listened and developed a beautiful rapport with these individuals was truly inspiring. So that's why I've included a quote here by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So my role at Project ROPA required me to use the intentional relationship model. Even though I wasn't in a clinical setting per se, I used advocating to ensure that each individual or client had equal access to the items that we were handing out. I used empathizing when listening to their stories and talking to them and getting to know them. And finally, I used encouraging to motivate them to ask for what they wanted, to be able to be open with me and express what they wanted, and giving them a safe place to do so. Communication at Project ROPA required clear, compassionate, trauma informed strategies. So I relied heavily on things like active listening, really trying to be present and let them know that I care and I am here to help them. Things like reflective responding, really taking the time to think about my responses to them in a meaningful way that shows that I am listening to them, I care about what they're saying, and I'm enjoying getting to know them. And then, of course, things like nonverbal communication, so nodding, eye contact, being very present with them with my body language. And this little picture here is of my name tag that I used there so they could see me. And that other one in the corner is the name tags that the individuals had on. It had their pant size, shirt size, so I could know kind of right away what to go back and shop for them. So this one was a fun one for me to think about. Potential programs that could be developed. So Project ROPA could expand to support occupational engagement in a number of ways. And one that I thought of is sort of like a vocational prep program. So I'm calling it Dress for Success. So they are providing clients with clothing that they could use for potential job interviews, but then this would be kind of a adjacent program that they could use after getting that clothing to work on their interview skills, focus on some hygiene tips for the interview, discuss job seeking strategies, kind of help them develop a plan of what that would look like, and help them be ready to have the most successful interview possible. So ways that Project ROPA is promoting social justice. They're doing it by providing equitable access to basic human needs, clothing and hygiene. They're providing services without discrimination. Like I said, no one was turned away. There was no judgment as to who was in line. Everybody was treated exactly the same. They support dignity, safety, and a sense of belonging. There was a really nice community there. Clearly, a lot of the volunteers were very close with some of the individuals in line and had built some relationships over time. They reduce barriers linked to poverty and homelessness, and they're also inclusive and compassionate, like those interactions I was just talking about with the volunteers and these individuals. It was really beautiful to see. And then as far as occupational justice at Project ROPA, they support engagement in daily meaningful occupations. They reduce occupational barriers such as hygiene, clothing, and one's confidence. They enhance opportunities for work participation, like I described in getting outfits that they could use for potential job interviews, promote self-efficiency, role competence, and community participation. They are also addressing occupational marginalization and deprivation, which is incredibly important. My experience working with Project ROPA was nothing short of eye-opening. I am embarrassed to say that up until this point, I had not had a real conversation with an unhoused individual or someone in transitional housing, and that changed times 1,000, and I am so grateful for it. Professional behaviors that I was developing during this time, definitely communication styles, as well as things like setting boundaries. Do I think I contributed to the vision? I do, because I was working one-on-one with these individuals to create an in-person experience that promoted dignity and autonomy. Do I think that they're meeting the needs, occupational needs of the individuals? I do, yes. They're actively meeting the needs of the individuals. It serves by addressing ADLs, things, essential things, clothing, clean clothing, hygiene, access to these things. And then how could occupational therapy influence this site? I think they could do it in a really meaningful way and have a very powerful impact by kind of expanding on the scope of support beyond what they're doing now by providing like holistic, client-centered interventions. Things like I was talking about, like the interview strategies for potential jobs, things like that could go a long way. all in all, I really enjoyed my experience. I encourage you to check them out. Thank you so much for watching.